What's up, y'all? This is Henny, and today I want to break down what apps I'm really using on my iPad. I know a lot of you might have just purchased your iPad, trying to figure out what things you can do with it musically and beyond. And I'm here to break down what apps I'm using on a consistent basis so you can get an overview of what apps can truly take your iPad to that next level from every aspect of using this device. But first off, I want to thank all of my new subscribers, all of my new followers, all of those who are just now tuning in to my channel and everything that I got going on over here in this space. Trying to do what I do, give it back to the community. Sorry, get in my rant sometimes. I know there's a lot of you that might not know exactly, who I am and what I'm about. I've been a music producer for over 17 years now, and you can check the box right here to see my discography of all the artists that I've worked with over the years. And I've worked with some tremendous artists through my last 17 years. The main basis of this channel was to basically just break down my lifestyle and how I balance my family life, my work life, and everything in the middle. And one of the reasons I switched to using an iPad was to be able to do that more effectively. You might see vlogs of what I'm doing on a daily basis out in the studio or maybe with my family, as well as tutorials on, what I think is really dope tech-wise, and maybe how I can help you take yourself to that next level. I really just want to say thank you for all those subscribers. I thank you for the love. I thank you for the comments, the likes, all of those who are asking questions and hitting me up on all my social media. I appreciate it. We're gonna keep this thing rolling. We're gonna keep this ball moving. So let's dive right into it and let me show you what's on my iPad. Let's go.
The business.
For those of you who don't know, I'm using the latest version of the iPad Pro, the 10.5 version, fully maxed out with 512 gigabytes of storage, and it also has the Wi-Fi and cellular model. I wanted to make sure that I had the best capable device for doing almost anything I possibly could do on this iPad. And I want to jump right in to my music tab. I created a folder of basically all of my music apps that I'm using, and the ones that I use most are down here on the dock, which is AudioShare, BeatMaker 3, and the other ones are either video apps, drawing, creative apps, or just my normal notes and mail, and of course files. So let's dive in to my music folder. For many of you, if you're just getting started, there's a ton of apps that you can get started with, and I'm gonna go through this slow so that you can kind of see. I'm just gonna drag across and kind of show what I have here. I have Bloxwave. This is a super dope app that I used a ton before BeatMaker 3 came out, that was able to take my loops and my ideas and get them done efficiently, fast, and really just get my ideas quickly, because as I got older, I wanted to be able to compete with the younger producers and songwriters, and I wanted to get my ideas out just as fast as I used to when I was younger. And Bloxwave allows me to do that. You should really check that app out. Model 15, I talked about that before. That's my go-to for bass, lead sounds, sometimes key sounds. It's made by Moog. Audiobus, that's how you bring in two apps together, and then allowing one app to be filtered through another app. That's crazy. I used to use the AUM app or OM app to kind of do the same thing, where you're bringing apps together, effects together to kind of create a different a workflow. Don't use that as much anymore, but it's still a great app to use for specific applications. Patterning is a crazy drum loop creation app, and some of these apps are just so well thought out. Something like Patterning really can get some drum loops, drum ideas. I use this to create drum loops and really kind of get ideas going in a different way. Patterning, check that one out. DM1, another drum module. I use that again to find different drums, to try different patterns. That's a cool app. TerraSynth. It's got some really great synth sounds, and also what I loved about this app is you can bend the notes really cool. So really quick. That's how a normal keyboard would kind of go down each key. But if you hit that Q button, telling you, makes all the difference. So when you want to bend those 808s and stuff like that, I'm using that app inside BeatMaker 3, and it's crazy. Poison 202, another dope app for great synth sounds, analog synth sounds. Crazy. Sampler. It's an old app. It hasn't been updated in a long time, but that was one of the apps that I started using a few years ago. Start learning how to chop samples and freak samples. I can do a lot of what Sampler does inside of BeatMaker 3 now, but I still have it on my device. ARP Odyssey, a great recreation of an old analog synth. Stupid. I use that a lot. I'll use Audiobus and bring that in to BeatMaker 3. Roland Sound Canvas has some of the classic old Roland sounds. You can find that in the App Store. I don't use that as much because, you know, I wish it had like an audio unit version of it so I could just easily go through sounds. And I typically only look for audio unit sounds nowadays because they're just easy to use inside BeatMaker 3 or the DAW that I'm using. So if a great sound modulating app doesn't have audio unit 3 plugin capabilities, I'm not usually going to invest my money or time into it. Cubasis. Now, Cubasis is one of my go-to apps that I used before I got BeatMaker 3. It's extremely well put together. I love the layout. I love that every channel has its own channel strip. It can sample inside of it. It can bring in audio units. It can mix in and kind of get your sounds really well put together. And it was my go-to for a long time. The one thing that I didn't like about it was its file management and its file organization. It kind of drove me insane. But I'll leave a link right here to Yokopak's Cubasis versus BeatMaker 3 video. He really kind of explains what the difference is and what might be best for you. So check that out. BeatMaker 2, now I've had this for years, and I think I probably made the most beats I've ever made on iOS on BeatMaker 2. It was just groundbreaking for when it came out, and for those who are still on an iPhone, for those who are still trying to kind of get a idea of where to go with iOS devices, BeatMaker 2 is still a great app, and it can still do a lot of the things that BeatMaker 3 can do, but it's older and it doesn't have as many it doesn't have as much functionality. So BeatMaker 2, I still have it, and I'm definitely going to still have it on my device forever because I'm constantly bringing up older tracks that I have to either send files to an engineer or an artist that I made years back. So check that out, BeatMaker 2. Gadget, KORG Gadget. KORG Gadget right here is, I mean, it has tremendously awesome sounds. KORG makes some of the best sounds, and they have all these different modules inside, or all these different gadgets inside KORG Gadget, where all these different sound patches and whatever, and you can do quite a bit within KORG Gadget. And I know a lot of people, that is their go-to DAW on iOS. And don't get me wrong, it's crazy. It's dope. You should check it out. Some of the modules, like trying to buy all the modules for it can get expensive if you're just now starting out, but you can check it out and see exactly what it has to offer if you're trying to look for what DAW to go for on an iOS device. Master Record is like a cool little plugin for like adding cassette hiss, warmth, and when you want to put like kind of a vintagey sound on your record. I could sometimes lightly put this on the master bus of my, mix channel. It's a cool plugin. Arturia iSym. This is a super dope plugin. It works as an audio unit plugin. Has great sounds. I use it all the time for leads and synths and keys and pads. The only problem is sometimes when I use it within BeatMaker 3 and then I save the whole song that I'm working on and I try to reload it up, if I used it but after that in like a different track, it kind of remembers the last instance that it was used. So it doesn't, like, for some reason it doesn't save the instances of what patch that you're using inside each track that you're working on, and that kind of drove me crazy. That was one of the reasons I started recording my ideas into an audio track on my you know, how to make a beat video right here. Another right here. Yeah. Audiobus 2, it's basically Audiobus, the second version. I always try to use the latest versions of each app, because I know that with the latest versions of each device, meaning iPad, probably work the best. So it works very similar to Audiobus 3, but yeah, same idea, same functionality. Final Touch. Now, I was using this, man, for a long time when it came to trying to go all the way from creation to mastering on iOS. And this is a really, really dope mastering app for your iPad. And it has almost everything that you need. Your pre-EQ, your reverb, your dynamics, your stereo imaging, your post-EQ, maximizer. Goes through the whole thing. And when you export it, you can have, like, if you understand mastering, or you want to Google and YouTube search about how to master, it's going to go through that whole process that mastering engineers use, try to master projects. Mimics it very well, gets a very clean sound out of it. For the most part, that would be the go-to app to master on an iOS device. KORG module. It's one of the modules that kind of works within KORG Gadget, but it also works as a standalone. Great pianos, organs, strings, upright bass, those things, like kind of like your standard instruments. KORG module does it well. I wish it was an Audio 3 audio unit plugin. That would be amazing, but it's not. What can you do? Audio copy. Now, I think a lot of people are trying to look when they're trying to find an app that can take their sounds and copy them to one app to the next. Audio copy does that well. Specifically, if you're using something like IMPC Pro, it's going to work well with IMPC Pro. I recommend AudioShare. It's just a better sought out app, better file organization, and it's just worked better for me than audio copy, but they kind of do similar things. Studio Mux and Audio Mux are two different apps that are kind of crazy. They basically have apps on iOS and then apps on the Mac software, where you can control your iOS device on your Mac. I used to use this when I was still heavily using Logic and I wasn't fully committed to iOS, and it basically allows you to plug your Lightning connection into your computer like you would be charging it or updating your iPad, but load up the plugin inside of Logic and then load up the app on here, and you can control the apps. You can send the audio straight from your iPad into Logic, into your DAW, and it works dope. Check it out, Studio Mux, Audio Mux. It can do the audio files and the MIDI files. It's crazy. Orpheon, it's just another cool app that I use. The iPad can literally be an app. It can be an instrument like this. Or, it can be so many things. That's what I love about using the iOS and the iPad to create. It's just, it can transform so many different ways. That's Orpheon. Logic Remote, basically a remote for Logic. It works, but I'd rather use a mouse and keyboard for me, but who knows? Of course, GarageBand. Everybody should know about GarageBand by now. Groovebox is another dope app made by Amplify, which has some dope synths and basses, whatever, to create some interesting sounds, vibes, kind of get your ideas started. Cool. Pump House. Now, I thought this was pretty dope. It's actually an audio unit effect that you can put onto tracks to kind of give it that EDM pulsating vibe, and you can put it matches to your tempo, and it'll just work with whatever sound you put into it. You can change the attack, the release, the curve, the ratio, sensitivity, the mix. But Pump House, DJ Pro, this is a crazy iPad app for DJing. My bad, let me get my Yokohama on real quick. You know what I mean? DJ Pro, I mean, the fact that you can literally DJ from Spotify is insane. So, you know, you can pull up any of these songs, any song that's on Spotify, you can play in DJ Pro, you can mix, you know, you can bring in your own controller for this. I've shown DJs this app that have never seen an iOS device be able to DJ, and they think it's crazy. Now, they probably wouldn't do a club with this given the fact that, you know, DJing off Spotify could be sketchy given the fact that it could glitch out, Wi-Fi connection or your LTE connection could be bad and it could go out and mess up your whole entire set. But yeah, DJ Pro, I highly recommend as a DJing app, as the DJing app for iOS. Sample Tank, I know a lot of people use Sample Tank and they have a ton of sounds in Sample Tank. I just don't use it as much, but yeah, another sound bank. IK Multimedia, you know they come with a lot. So yeah, Sample Tank, I've used that. I mean, some of these apps I use a little bit and then I was like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't use it that much. Some things like Thumb Jam, Soundscaper, there's so many in here. Viking Synth, Yellowfire, Dedalus. Thank you for whoever told me how to say that. Right on. Elastic Drum, Rolly Noise. I used that for a while, try to see if I like the Rolly experience. It was okay. I think it's gotten better by now. But yeah, for somebody who wants a little bit more tactile feel, Rolly with the Rolly blocks and the Rolly keyboard, they're pretty dope. Drum Performer, Low Fly Dirt, my man MSX Audio, they're killing with that. I love that plugin, it's crazy. iSymphonic, I talked about it on my last video, great for strings. FM Player, great for FM sounds. Some of these are effects like DC Overdrive, Chorus, Filter, Reverb, Sampler, Ruiz Maker. This is a really cool drum app. There's some really, really cool drum apps on iOS. So there's tons of them for any style that you're trying to do. The Jussi app, the Tynes app, IMPC Pro 2. Now let me tell you, I thought I was going to have a little bit of competition there with my BeatMaker 3 app. When IMPC Pro 2 came out, I was like, oh man, this is heavy. It just let me down in a few ways. I really wanted it to have better file organization. The way that it exported was just kind of like, I don't know, I don't really care for the audio copy integration. Yeah, just some of the, I don't know. I think it's amazing for the second version of IMPC Pro. I really like the layout, the design, and even some of the capabilities like sampling into it from Spotify and things like that. That's crazy. But yeah, for my workflow and for like the sequencing part, I just couldn't fully get into that versus BeatMaker 3. So IMPC Pro 2, y'all might want to check that out because I think a lot of people who love the MPC really get into that, and it mimics some of the new MPCs very well. So check that out. Xeon is a crazy synth app, and I use it a lot too. I love the sounds in there. It's crazy for leads and sound, like, you know, synths. Check out Xeon. That sounds crazy. And then some of the other Klevgränd apps like Inkel, Svet, Haze, which is like a stereo widener. You know, the VirSyn apps, AudioEffX, BandShift, Harmony 8, the Maxima app that I talked about last week, Tone Stack for, you know, guitar amp simulations, Reslice for reslicing and chopping up samples. That's my music folder, basically all the apps that I've downloaded so far. I have a few that I want to check out. If anybody has a recommendation for the best piano app that is an audio unit plugin, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, those are most of my apps that I use on my iPad for music. Now, you know, when we talk about some of these, you know, other apps that I have on my iPad, like the Philips Hue or, you know, YouTube Studio, you know, gotta try to stay on my comments. I'm trying to get better about responding to comments on YouTube. I do better on my Instagram. If you direct message me, I'm a lot better at responding there. So hit me up. And, you know, just other apps to kind of help me keep this brand alive. So let me talk a little bit about LumaFusion. LumaFusion, this app is changing the game when it comes to video editing. You know, the only reason I was still really holding on strong to my Macs, which I still use by the way, but they're starting to see more dust, is video editing. And when I started to try out LumaFusion, I was like, you know, is it really capable of editing, you know, these files that I have on my device? And so I put it to the test. You know, I'm using my GH5 right here, and I'm recording right now in 4K 10-bit 222. And so those files are extremely big. And then up top here, I'm recording using my Sony RX100 Mark V, and I use this as a top-down screen right here so that I can great autofocus. You know, it focuses really fast, and so I'm bringing all of these together at once. And even last week, I was using my Zoom U22 to record my iPad and my voice at the same time, so I could sync all of this together. And when I tell you all the videos that I've been doing since 2018 have been on my iPad, edited on my iPad, it's been working. I'm being 4K 10-bit 222 files, being able to play back smoothly on top of, you know, RX100's, you know, my 1080p files there, and then 48 kilohertz audio coming in. Those files are like, I thought it would really stress out my iPad, and it held up and exported to YouTube. So LumaFusion, you can literally chop up all your pieces. This is a video that I put out on my Instagram the other day, showing how I made this new song called Show Me by my homie Sammy, link in the description. So real quick, let me show you this Procreate app that I just got hip to, and it's really dope to animate my text in my videos. So I could go up here, go to screen record. I'm gonna record the screen of my iPad. Starting to record now. I can go into Procreate, create a new one from the screen. I can get rid of the background layer, go down here, make sure my color is white, change my brush to whatever. This, you know, this video is called What's on My iPad, so I could just be like, what's on my iPad? Boom, right? Stop video record. Go back to LumaFusion. Go to the end of this one just to kind of show you real quick. Now I have that file. You can see right here, right? I'm just dragging. I go to where it about starts. I can drag it in here, and you can see it's going to show you what I just wrote. But you still see all the craziness behind it. What I learned is you can double tap here in LumaFusion, go to the editing tab, go to the key, go to this ocean key, and drag this all the way to the right. Now everything is in black. I can come back to the sizing. I can crop out the left part, crop out the top part, crop out the right part, crop out the bottom. And I can also, once I'm done cropping, I can go to size and, let's see here, turn it to maybe like that or something like this. Boom. Now, if you see it, what's on my iPad? Boom. And you can literally layer that on top of video, and it will do it over the, you know, without anything in the background. That's sick. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So I'm gonna be doing that all the time. You might get sick of my titles, but I'm loving that right now, and the fact that I can do that on my iPad, it's just going down. So that's just a breakdown of how I use the apps on my iPad. I hope you got something out of that. and maybe you learn an app or two that you've never heard of. You can do your research. I'll try to link all the description. I'll try to link all the apps that I've mentioned up here in my description, so you can just click that link and boom, you got it, and you can get to it. Also, check out my kit if you want to learn all the different devices, all the different instruments, and all the things that I'm using in my kit to create all of this. Check that out right here, and yeah, maybe that can help you get started on the iOS journey. But I want to leave you with this. A lot of people wanted to know exactly why I started using the iPad, and for many of us who've been in the game more than 10-15 years, we've seen technology completely change the way that we do music. And I've tried everything from having, old school, my ASR 10, and I was just using that with some speakers and a receiver, all the way up to, having a full Pro Tools rig, to having my first studio, in my house, fully decked out, to having almost everything I could possibly think of, even being, sponsored by Native Instruments and getting everything. Like, I had so much, the best speakers that I possibly could think of. I've had basically all the gear that I possibly wanted in my career. And what I realized is it was just limiting me because I couldn't make decisions fast enough. And I wanted to get back to that mind state of when I was 18, breaking down and getting to the music really fast, really efficiently, and just having a lot of fun with it. And so 3.5 years ago, when I learned that the iPad could do a lot more than just, watch movies and answer emails, I dove in. And I basically shut my studio down, and now it's my daughter's room, so I can't even build it up again. That's just kind of the way that life goes. But I wanted to let you know that you have to calibrate your expectations. What I mean by that is, anything that you do in life, you're gonna have pitfalls, you're gonna have hills, you're gonna have valleys, and you have to expect those types of things. So starting out, even if you're a seasoned producer or somebody starting new, you gotta calibrate your expectations for what you're trying to get out of whatever you want in life. It's gonna take time, it's gonna take patience, it's gonna take you learning and relearning and just building the ideas around your head of what it is that you're trying to do and how can you get there. And so calibrate that on a consistent basis. Calibrate your expectations for what you want in life. Give yourself time to sit, think, and kind of go over what it is that you're trying to do and make the best decisions that you possibly can. For me, I went all the way in on iOS and I haven't looked back. I had to calibrate my expectations for being able to compete at the level that I was usually competing in until I got so efficient with this device, but it took time, and it took a lot of hard work. So calibrate your expectations. Continue to pray over everything that you're doing in your life, and just make sure you have fun with everything that you're doing. Telling you, that's what all this is about. If you try to make it a chore, man, I got to do 5-10 beats a day so I could do this and this and that, you're probably going to get burnt out, and then you're going to become jaded, and then you're going to try to you're going to get so frustrated because you're trying to figure out, why isn't it my time yet? And God just said, man, you just need a little bit more time to grow as a person. Maybe step away from the studio sometimes. Maybe get out and see some other things, build some new relationships. Calibrate your expectations, man. Understand that it's going to take time. Continuously believe that it's possible. And I promise you, you'll get there. Living proof, man. That's all I got for you today, baby. I don't know why I do that. I'll catch y'all next week, man. Head 'em out.